It wasn't there yesterday. Ethan stood frozen at the foot of his basement stairs, staring at the new wooden door set into the far wall. He'd lived in this Oregon home for 7 years. He knew every inch of it. The door was solid oak, old-fashioned, and cold to the touch. His fingers brushed the brass handle, and he felt a faint vibration, like a heartbeat inside the wood. That night, he tried to sleep, but at exactly 3:11 a.m., a soft knock echoed from below. 3 slow knocks, steady and deliberate. His phone's flashlight flickered when he pointed it toward the basement door. By morning, the house felt different. He couldn't tell why, but every sound seemed sharper, every shadow longer. The door was still there, waiting. He told himself he wouldn't go near it again, but curiosity is a powerful curse. The following evening, Ethan set up his camera in front of the strange door. If something was happening, he wanted proof. The next morning, he reviewed the footage and nearly dropped his coffee. The handle turned by itself, slowly, then stopped. No one had been there. He replayed it 5 times before realizing there was more. Whispering, faint but distinct, calling his name. Scratched into the wooden frame was a symbol he'd never noticed before, a spiral surrounded by lines. That night, as he rubbed at it with a cloth, a memory surfaced, his father's journal, the same symbol drawn in the margins beside the words, "Do not open." When he cracked the door slightly, an icy breeze rushed past him carrying a faint smell of smoke and old earth. For just a moment, he thought he saw something move. On the other side, something shaped almost like him that Ethan's sister, Claire, arrived after his frantic call. Together, they scoured old family photos, uncovering something impossible. Their childhood home, long burned down, had the same basement layout, the same walls, the same missing section. The realization hit like a shiver. This wasn't just a coincidence. As Claire walked down the basement steps, her breath fogged in the air. "It's colder here," she whispered. When the lights flickered, they saw fleeting faces reflected in the window glass, faces they recognized as their parents. The air pulsed once, and the door creaked open wider, revealing another basement, perfectly mirrored. Inside that reflection, 2 small children, versions of themselves, stood watching, their eyes hollow and black. Claire screamed. The door slammed shut by itself, leaving behind the echo of laughter that wasn't theirs that he couldn't resist anymore. Ethan opened the door and stepped through. At first, it was his house, just slightly off, the furniture reversed, the clock ticking backward, the air heavy with silence. Every photograph showed people with smudged faces, except one, himself, standing in front of this same door, smiling. Upstairs, he heard footsteps, his own pattern, same weight, same rhythm. When he entered the bedroom, he saw himself asleep in bed. The other Ethan opened his eyes and smiled in slow, unnatural motion. Panic surged. Ethan ran back downstairs, slamming the door behind him. But in the dark reflection of the doorknob, another hand pressed from inside, matching his every movement. Something had followed him back. That IT began speaking with his voice. At first, over the phone, then through the walls. "Claire," it called softly at night. "Come see what I found." The walls groaned as doors appeared and disappeared across the house. When the sheriff arrived, he frowned and said the property had been abandoned for decades. "The Miller family disappeared here," he muttered, eyeing Ethan suspiciously. Claire found photos in the attic, Ethan and herself as children, taken years after their supposed deaths. The shadows behind them were always the same, a tall figure standing beside the door. The realization came like ice in their veins. This house wasn't theirs. It had been waiting for them to return. Desperation drove them to the local historian, who told tales of the Hollingsworth door, built by a preacher obsessed with crossing realities. The door, he explained, was a bridge. Every time it opened, it claimed a soul to balance the passage. Ethan remembered his dreams as a child, standing before a glowing door, hearing his father's voice whisper, "Come home." The historian warned them that the door marked its chosen ones with symbols. When Ethan rolled up his sleeve, there it was, the spiral, faintly glowing under his skin. Claire begged him to leave the house, but he couldn't. He could feel it calling again, promising answers his father never found. The more he resisted, the louder the whispers became. The knocking returned, louder and sharper, 3 strikes that shook the floor. Ethan heard his father's voice clearly this time. You have to finish what I started. Against Claire's pleas, he turned the handle. Darkness poured out like liquid smoke, and for a heartbeat, he saw his father's face on the other side, reaching out. Claire screamed as the door slammed shut, pulling Ethan into the void. On the security feed, she saw his figure vanish, the door vibrating before falling still. Moments later, the reflection on the screen changed, her own image standing beside the door, though she was across the room. The recording ended abruptly, replaced by static and a faint whisper, "One more knock." A week later, police entered the Miller residence. The basement was normal, no door, no sign of anyone living there. Only the camera remained, still recording. The footage showed the empty basement for hours, nothing unusual, until 3:11 a.m. A faint rumble shook the frame. Then, the wall at the far end rippled like water, and a dark outline began to form, the faint shimmer of a door returning. A handprint pressed against the inside, leaving a smear that pulsed once before fading. The feed continued until sunrise. When officers reviewed it, they swore they heard whispering in the background, saying the same two words over and over again. "Still open."